Tuesday and the train has left the station. Coach Dave, Accordion Cool. And today I'm doing a little tribute to Duke Ellington and the great Duke Ellington Orchestra. And Duke and his cohorts wrote a lot of tunes, and Duke wrote some, and some of the other fellows wrote some too. And our first one, Take the A Train. Well, where did that come from? Well, it was I don't know, around 1939, I believe. And Duke hired a fellow named Billy Strayhorn. Now, Billy Strayhorn was a piano player. Well, you know, playing piano in Duke's band, that's like backing up Tom Brady. You're not going to play. But Billy Strayhorn was also a great songwriter. So when he was coming up to Duke's house to discuss everything, Duke lived in Harlem, and he says, "Duke, how do I get there?" And Duke says, "Well, you know, there's a new train line, new subway line." So he just says, "Just take the A train." Well, Billy Southworth, the songwriter, and there we get Take the A Train, which actually became Duke's signature song eventually. So we'll give that one just strictly to Billy Strayhorn. And in keeping with the Duke sound, I'm just going to play accordion and piano today. No other fancy sounds, because of course Duke was a piano player. Now the second tune, I'm sure I played in this show many times. 1953, Duke and Billy collaborated on this little tune, one of my go-to tunes, tune called Satin Dolls. So we'll see if we can give it a little Duke piano intro here. All right, little Satin Doll, Satin Doll. So that was Duke and Billy. Now this next tune, around 1940, Duke takes responsibility for this one all on his own. And I don't know what motivated him to write this tune, but somebody must have been sad or something, because the title is I don't get around much anymore. Or maybe they were old. No, I don't know. So little Don't Get Around Much Anymore, Duke Ellington, 1940. Let's see what we do with this one. We hit the right button, that's what we do. Don't get around much anymore. No. Well, this next tune was written by the third person that wrote some Duke tunes. A fellow named Juan, J-U-A-N, Juan Tizol. Juan Tizol was a trombone player in the band, but he had some songwriting skills. And the song is called Perdido. Now, back then, I understand, word on the street is, I guess it was an area in one of our southern cities that just wasn't the nicest place to be. But I don't know, but I know, having been down south, we every once in a while you'll see the Perdido Key or something. So maybe there was something to that. So Juan Tizol, 1942, Perdido. Perdido, 1940. Juan Tizol. All right. This next tune, again, word on the street is that one of the players in the Duke band had a phrase that he used constantly, and he used to say, "Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing." So finally Duke said, all right, and he wrote the song called, oh yeah, It Don't Mean a Thing. So this was Duke, 1931, like I say, as the word on the street goes. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing, so let's see what happens. Don't mean a thing, nothing, zilch, nada, if it ain't got that swing. Now, if you purists with good ears that was listening to that, you'll probably notice that, well, Coach Dave changed a few chords in the middle of that because Coach Dave likes the chords that Coach Dave changed to better than ones that were originally written, but that's all right. If you didn't notice it, just forget what I just said. All right, this next tune, about around 1942, I believe, and this is Strictly Duke. Whoops, excuse me. Strictly Duke, and it's basically on what we call a blues progression, and it's called the C-Jam Blues. Now, you've heard me mention, you've seen him mention many times, seen him on the show many times, Corey Pesaturo. And I've played C-Jam Blues with Corey. However, Corey plays C-Jam Blues in B-flat. Why, I don't know, but hey, who's going to argue with a three-time world champion? But just for grids, I'm going to do it. The C-Jam Blues in C. Oh, what a novel idea. All right, let's see what happens. C Jam Blues in C. Wow, what a novel idea. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time. Now, this tune, written by actually Juan and Duke. Now, maybe it was just Juan and, kind of Duke kind of had to, put his... I don't know. I would not suggest anything. This also happens to be the tune that I close all my live shows with. And Miss Ernestine, when she hears this song, she starts packing up. And by the time I finish the song, she's in the car, tooting the horn, let's go. So, little tune called Caravan. Here we go. Caravan. When I was at Berkeley, way back in the last century, and we learned how to, write arrangements for big bands. And at the end of every semester, we would have to, take a song, write an arrangement, and all the horns, the guys that played horns and stuff would come in, they'd make up a little band and play your arrangements. I mean, we would work, for a week on something. Well, it was one guy, he would start his the night before, stay up all night if he had to, and come in with the best arrangement of everybody. Really upset a few of us. But anyway, so yes, that's our Duke Ellington tribute. I certainly hope you enjoyed it. Well, as usual, thank you all for tuning in and watching, listening, however you get the show. And bigger thanks today to Austin behind the glass, because there was something wrong with my instrument, and we kind of had to do a little Rube Goldberg hookup here today to try to get some sound. So hopefully it came out all right. So, all right, let's take it home. Oh, I don't know. How about Caravan? Yeah.